Hey everyone, it is your Peacekeeper coming at you with the next video in our How to Play series on the Japanese destroyer line. This is the Tier 6 Hatsuharu class destroyer. The Hatsuharu class was constructed between 1931 and 1935 and consisted of 6 destroyers that served in World War II. Unfortunately, all 6 of these ships would be lost during World War II, and for those who are curious, Hatsuharu means early spring. The Hatsuharu class destroyer was designed to meet the 1930 London Naval Treaty limits on destroyer displacement, and Japanese designers demanded that the ships be only slightly weaker in armament than the previous Fubuki and Akatsuki class destroyers. To accomplish the lower displacement, the ship was shortened and new techniques were used in her construction, like welded hulls and using lighter, high tensile strength steel instead of armor steels. In spite of those changes, the class featured improved protection for the command staff in the form of an armored bridge, as well as anti-aircraft fire control computers for the main guns, as well as new gun mounts with more powerful elevation and training motors to allow the guns to be used for anti-aircraft purposes. The torpedo launchers were also encased in splinter protection, which helped their survivability as well. Unfortunately, all of these changes caused substantial seakeeping problems, and all of the ships underwent numerous modifications after launch to improve their stability in rough seas, although they still suffered through problems throughout their entire life. As a result, they were constantly in dry dock being upgraded as these problems were discovered. And of the more interesting note, Hatsuharu, as she was built and they were doing all these tests, and at only a 10-degree rudder shift, the ship was heeled over 38 degrees at high speed. And to fix this, they basically said, well, we'll just slap some bulges on the side and call it good. And those changes are what eventually made their way onto the rest of the Hatsuharu class during construction. In terms of service history, the Hatsuharu class was primarily used as carrier escorts throughout the war, with many of them serving as escorts for the main Japanese carriers that we all know and love. Ariake and Yagure escorted Shikaku and Zuikaku during the Battle of Coral Sea, and they also escorted a number of light carriers like Hiyu and Unryu as well. Wakaba would be sunk by aircraft during the naval battle at Leyte Gulf, and would have her crew rescued by Hatsuharu and Hatsushimo, another Hatsuharu class destroyer. Hatsushimo also escorted Yamato on her final mission, that would be Operation 10 Go, and rescued survivors from Yamato, Yahagi, and Hamikaze. In terms of their in-term gameplay performance, though, there is no polite way to say this, but Hatsuharu is a terrible ship. She is extremely frustrating to play, and her only strengths seem to be her concealment, speed, and maneuverability. In terms of her gunnery, she only has 4 guns like Fubuki, however, they are limited in their main battery firing range without advanced firing training to a really rather short 9.3 kilometers. And as a result, she can't stealth fire, which right now doesn't matter because it's going to get removed, but she also doesn't have enough range to actually shoot at enemy ships and evade them like a Russian destroyer would. So she doesn't really have any gunnery, so to speak. And, well, when you look at her torpedo armament, it doesn't get any better there. She only has 2 triple torpedo launchers. Now, those torpedoes do go a rather long 10 kilometers in range, but they have a 59 knot top speed and a 1.5 kilometer detection range. So you're not going to be, getting a whole bunch of torpedo hits either. I guess her anti-aircraft is okay, but if anything, this ship is the poster child for why some Japanese destroyers need a buff. And I think they could accomplish this by flat out removing the B hull option, which is the upgraded hull that gives you the 10K torps, and bringing back the original stock hull that has 5 guns on it like Shiratsuyu does, and then increasing the base range on the guns. I think that would give her enough gun range without advanced firing training where you didn't need a 14-point captain to really enjoy her, and it would bring her more in line with the way Shiratsuyu is going to play at Tier 7 on this line. Will it happen? I don't know. Maybe if we complain about it enough, they will listen. Let's go ahead and dive on into those stats. In terms of hit points, she has 11,700 hit points, so not a whole lot of hit points. Armor, there's not a whole lot to speak of, 16 millimeters at its thickest. The main battery consists of 5-inch 50 caliber third year type Mod B. Those are, well, they're in 2 turrets, 2 fore, 2 aft. They do also count as their anti-aircraft, which I think this is the first of the Japanese destroyers that has the main armament count as anti-aircraft suite, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit. They have a 9.3 kilometer firing range, a really long 6.8 second reload, and the turret traverse of 25.7 seconds. And that fire percent chance is only 7%. So you can see these aren't exactly earth-shattering numbers when it comes to destroyer 5-inch guns. In fact, they're really quite weak, the main battery firing range being the biggest letdown. The torpedoes, as we already discussed, there are 2 triple launchers. They are mounted in the middle. 10 kilometer range, 59 knot top speed. They do 16,267 damage, so when you do connect with them, they are going to do a lot. And that 1.5 kilometer detection range, which is quite long for a torpedo only moving 59 knots. In terms of her anti-aircraft defense, she does have a number of anti-aircraft guns on board, owing in part to her late war refits and upgrades to an anti-aircraft destroyer primarily. They are 14 of the 25mm guns. They have a 3.1 kilometer range, 30 DPS. There's also an additional twin 25mm and 3 triple 25mm that also go out to 3.1 kilometers. Total there, 28 DPS with those, so 58 DPS at 3.1 kilometers. And then, of course, those 2 5-inch 50 cal twin turrets, which have a 5 kilometer range and 24 DPS. So not a whole lot of DPS. The AA does exist. It is worth mentioning. I guess it's okay for a destroyer, just not something that I would write home about. Her one strong point, though, is her maneuverability. She has a 580 meter turning radius, a 2.3 second rudder shift time, and you will note that that is without the rudder shift module. And so this ship does not need the rudder shift module. In terms of speed, 38.3 knots, although I believe that is with the speed flag. Yes, it is, so we'll take that off here. 36.5 knots without the speed flag. So really quite quick for a destroyer, especially at this tier. It's not Russian fast, but it's fast enough. And of course, her detection range of 5.8 kilometers. By sea and 3.2 by air. In terms of her upgrades, these are the upgrades that I recommend. Main Armaments Mod 1, that's pretty much the standard for destroyers at this point in time. Aiming Systems Mod 1, there's really not any other ones here that are really justifiable. Main Battery Mod 2, as we talked about with Fubuki. When you take this upgrade, it increases your reload time, so you shoot slower to get that increase in turret traverse, and it's really not that noticeable, so I don't recommend taking it. The ship's anti-aircraft suite, while it exists, really isn't worth noting. I wouldn't go with the AA Guns Mod 2 if it were me. Propulsion's Mod 1 or Steering Gears Mod 1, those are the two that I've always recommended for destroyers. Personally, I prefer Propulsion Systems Mod 1. And in the last slot, the only option that I really think is a wise decision on this is Propulsion Systems Mod 2, which is going to decrease the time it takes to reach full power when accelerating. This is the -6 to 6 knot range, so if you're either stopped or you're in that range, you'll speed up or change directions a little bit quicker with regards to forward and back directions. And so that is kind of handy when you're sitting in smoke and shooting at things. Those are the upgrade modules I recommend. We'll dive on into this battle video and we'll talk more about this ship there. Alright, so Hatsuharu, it is a tier 6 now, and it sees more tier 8 fights than it ever did as a tier 7, and unfortunately this one is also a tier 8 fight, and as you can see, thankfully there are no carriers. Unfortunately, everything is so much higher tier than me. I don't know why I got drug into this game. I guess because they've got an extra tier 6 cruiser? I don't know. I personally don't like the way this all ends up. Battle ends up being about 78,000 damage, which is pretty good, I mean, all things considered. But for a tier 8 fight, we spent a lot of time being frustrated is probably the best way to describe this. Of course, we are on Northern Lights, which is one of the better maps in this game, and this also being north as well, for those who aren't familiar with that. The strategies on this map have been around since the dawn of time. I'm all the way over on this one side over here where the C cap would be if we had the 4 capture points. And I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to go off in that direction just to see what we can find and figure out kind of what their team is doing. Maybe we can get somebody to come down this channel and we can torp them with our 6 torpedoes. Yeah. So, Hatsuharu, like, I don't know. There's just not a, like I said, there wasn't a polite way to say it. This ship is quite frankly terrible. This is probably one of the worst grinds since the original Colorado grind way back in closed beta and at open beta at launch. And I just don't have anything polite to say about this ship. It took me a while to get into the hang of it, and then once I got in the hang of it, it seemed like no matter what I did, I couldn't get a team that would actually coalesce into something that could win the game. And so it really is quite frustrating to play. Like I said, the guns are a big letdown without advanced firing training. Obviously, I don't have advanced firing training on this captain. You have to have 14 points to really get that. You've only got 10k torps. They're slower than molasses, and they have a pretty high detection range for being that slow. So there's really not a great way to utilize this ship to maximize damage aside from ambushes. Now, we've launched torpedoes at this Gneisenau, and really this is more or less just me kind of just, I don't know. By the time I had gotten to this battle, I was so frustrated with this ship that I really stopped caring. It's interesting that it seems like when I stop caring about certain ships, I seem to do better in them. Now, my goal here is to get this Gneisenau to turn into him, so I'm trying to get his attention by firing, but as you can see, there is nothing around me that is going to spot me. What a good problem to have. I wish I had the gun range to take advantage of it. Unfortunately, no. We're not going to get... Oh, we're finally detected. Will he turn in? No, he turns the other way because spotted my torpedoes. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to engage him. I mean, I don't know what else to do. We'll just sit here and engage him. There's really not a whole lot else in the way of ships over there. There is a Royal Navy cruiser in the smoke over there, which... I'm accelerating away, taking advantage of that module that we took, the engine upgrade module, propulsion systems mod, I think it's 2? Yeah, 2. And then we're just going to kind of bail out of the situation just because of the fact that there's so many ships and next to no support. For those who want to play this ship as a long-range torpedo spammer, man, I don't know how you're going to do it. The ship does not have the capabilities to be the long-range torpedo spammer, and that is really quite unfortunate. Because the Japanese destroyers, I remember the Japanese destroyers when they were kind of the bane of anything's existence, when the torpedoes were super stealthy and the torpedoes were really quite fast and really long range. They were really quite solid ships. And for the most part, they still are. It's just that there's a couple of real turds in the line. Mutsuki is one of them. Hatsuharu is the other. These ships are just awful. There's really no polite way to say that. Mutsuki is tolerable because it's a full tier lower, and as a result, it doesn't seem to be punished nearly as bad, even though the matchmaker really kind of screws it. So we launched another set of torpedoes there. My goal was to try and catch that Royal Navy cruiser that's in the smoke. Maybe we can get him as he's running out of the smoke, because the smoke has got to be getting close to getting, running out. Pay attention to what happens to this Gneisenau, though. The Gneisenau, the way he's going, he's currently taking a lot of fire from other ships. Okay, so there's the Fiji. You can see the Royal Navy cruiser. But that Gneisenau is going to make a move here that I'm going to call his biggest error. We're going to go ahead and we're going to poke the bear with this Fiji. We're trying to get some damage in. There's really, like I said, it's not a very good ship. And so as a result, you got to get damage where you can. This causes the Fiji to back up, and really, in hindsight, I probably should have let my battleships do this, but there's only one battleship, and I'm not sure what exactly he's aiming at. There's a battleship going on the other side of this cap here to the east, and I really don't know what he's doing. So we're going to go ahead and disappear back behind this island again. You know, we're only at 5,000 damage, and it's already 5 minutes into this game. We got no torpedo hits. This Gneisenau, look what he's doing, though. This is a perfect example of taking advantage of a mistake that a ship makes. Now, the Gneisenau is a reasonably maneuverable battleship, especially at Tier 7. She's no Colorado, she's no Nagato, but ultimately, she's maneuverable enough that this guy should never have beached himself. And, well, he beached himself. He's backing up right now, and... well, now he's going forward again. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, if you're going to back up, back up. Like, actually back up. So watching this indicator and knowing where he's going to beach himself, knowing that Fiji is still behind the island. There's the Fiji. You can see I spotted him. We're going to go ahead and we're going to launch these torpedoes exactly where he's going to be so that when he beaches himself, he is screwed. Now, this Fiji is going to spot me, so we are going to go ahead and use our smoke to bail out of the situation, and those torpedoes are inbound to Mr. Gneisenau, and we are still not damaged. Now, they're looking great. Those look really good. We're at least going to get 2 for sure, possibly more. It should only take 2, but, well, you never know. And, yes, bye-bye, Gneisenau. Sometimes it's worth taunting battleship players when they beach themselves. So there's the 2 hits, and there's the sink. Okay, so we did take 3 torpedoes to sink him. I guess it does have a TDS. It just took a little bit longer for those torpedoes to get there. Now, that Fiji looked like he was coming hot and heavy into my smoke. That's what I would do if I was in that Fiji, especially since I couldn't see probably that North Carolina there. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to bail on out of this whole situation. We're going to go over to the other side of the map. That's where all their enemy ships seem to be at that I can actually engage. And so that's where we need to be. Oh, good. We just took out their Kiev. That's good. I'm saving my torpedoes for when that Fiji pops back up. I know I'm outside of the detection range for this ship when he does pop up, so that's a good sign. We've managed to create enough distance with that smoke so that if he does pop, there he is. Okay, so he popped back up. We're going to go ahead and launch torpedoes. Well, maybe not right now, although if I was smart, I would have. Probably would have killed him. And we'll call that a tactical error for the match. We launched these a little bit late. My anticipation was that we will launch these. We're getting there. I'm just trying to create a little bit of distance here because he is going to be... He is going to... I'm trying to get him to turn, for one, and I'm trying to get enough distance so that when I do launch these, if he does stop and decide to shoot at me, that I will have enough distance that he just doesn't wreck my face. In hindsight, like I said, I probably should have launched those a little bit earlier. As soon as he popped up, I probably should have turned and launched them, but you know what they say, hindsight's 20/20. So we are now coming over to the B cap. There's a Graf Spee. Oh, there's that Fiji. He is detecting me. And, okay, so we are... okay. And a Molotov. And there is a North Carolina over there as well that is just kind of hanging out. Our entire team is death-balled up at our cap, which is interesting, to say the least. This Molotov definitely presents a pretty big threat, but ultimately I am less worried about Mr. Molotov than I am anything else. As you can see here, I am currently... we didn't even get any gun damage on that. That's how sad the ship is. Like, this was just, aside from the Gneisenau, like sinking the Gneisenau, I was like, sweet, I sunk the Gneisenau. That's awesome. It was like, oh, hey, sweet, a Molotov. I'll just go ahead and shoot at him, right? No. We're going to go ahead and we're going to deploy smoke here. Now, it's not immediately obvious the reasons why I deployed smoke. I'm assuming people think I'm deploying smoke because this Mahan popped up. I am not worried about a Mahan at 6K. Even at 5K, I'm not worried about him. Really what this is for Mr. Fiji here to hide in. And this is really about what this ship is good for. If you aren't capable of providing friendly smoke, you're really a detriment to your team because there's really nothing else that this ship is good at. And that's really sad to say that. But okay, so Mr. North Carolina here, he's my next target. And the reason for that is quite simple. He's a battleship. He is basically stationary. I would like to kill him. This is what destroyers do. And to plan this, I need to cover some distance towards their other ships. And, well, we went ahead and launched these bow on anyway. He's coming towards us. If he turns at all, I'm going to try and get over a little bit further so I can get him to turn into these torpedoes a little bit more. He doesn't take the bait. And we end up kind of hanging our butts out here for a little bit, trying to, get him to bite, and he just doesn't bite. He is like full on binocular mode on whatever this battleship is that's in front of me. So we're gonna, oh, now he's shooting at me. Well, that's rude. So we're gonna go ahead, we're just going to, those torpedoes, we're gonna get one, and that's it. He shot at me, so we can go ahead and we can be, oh, he shot at me again. Oh no. We're going to go ahead and, he hit me. What a jerk. We're just going to keep harassing him. I mean, there's really not a whole lot else we can do. We did get the flood on him, so if I can start him on fire, that's going to be damage dealt. That Mahan is still there. I'm going to try and take him out because he's their last destroyer. He's the last thing that's kind of holding up their team. Nope. Okay, so he's going to be out. Might as well go ahead and deal with this. We're going to launch torpedoes at this North Carolina. We're launching a set long and a set short. My anticipation is for him to turn. Hopefully we can start him on fire. That would be nice. So he's turning, so that short set might get him, assuming he survives long enough for them to actually get there. Oh, maybe. Well, somebody started him on fire. It wasn't me. We're getting like piddly bits of damage here. We're at 48,000 damage. Oh, we got a fire! Finally! Oh, that's our second fire of this match. As you can see, the rate of fire really is a big letdown as well. And that is with basic firing training. And so the end result is not really anything all that useful. We both have, both of our us destroyers are alive on this team, so that's always a good sign. We are being spotted by that spotting aircraft, which is really annoying. We'll go ahead and we'll unhinge our AA for a little bit here. 51,000 damage that North Carolina managed to repair again. So we're going to go back over there because there's still battleships over there. There's still things to hunt. We're going to kind of take a little bit different route when we go there, though. We're going to go... Ooh, we're detected. What's detecting us? Oh, I think that was the Graf Spee. Well, let's line up our torpedoes. Maybe we can kill a Graf Spee in this mix. Yeah. We launched a set thinking, well, maybe. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. And because I was so close to stealthing up again, I didn't even bother to... shoot at him because I was trying to get away from him before he could get his guns off again. But since he is thoroughly distracted, I'm not terribly worried about it. We're just going to go ahead and engage him, especially since those torpedoes do not look like they are going to yield us any joy. Because unfortunately, there's this pesky thing called an island in the way. It's such a jerk. Why couldn't it be gone? That's all I want. And you'll see I slowed down and I went ahead and I was continuing to engage him thinking, well, maybe he'll come through. No, he's not going to come through. We're not going to get any torpedo love. And so we need to make up our minds as to where we're going. Oh, look, there he is. Well, okay. Put this island between us. Do we want to shoot at him or shoot at something else? Well, he disappeared again. So we're going to go ahead and go for something else. I see a North Carolina. North Carolinas are notably squishy when it comes to torpedoes because, reasons. Although the way things are going currently with torpedoes, who knows what's going to happen. For all our luck, what's going to happen is the Japanese destroyers aren't going to get torpedo buffs. They're going to get massive torpedo nerfs to coincide with the removal of stealth fire. Because, let's go ahead and take every last bit of our sanity and dignity. So I launched a set there that was short and a set that was long. The way he's angled up, it could go either way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to engage him with our guns. And maybe, just maybe, we can start some fires here. Now we're in smoke, and his shells are going... He was shooting at me. What a jerk. Okay, so torpedoes, he is turning. So he is already, you can tell how far out these torpedoes are getting spotted because they instantly start to turn. They still look pretty good though. We should get one. That's my theory. That's what I'm sticking to. It would have been nice if he wouldn't have turned as early and we would have gotten that second one. But we are going to get the one. It is going to hit him in the bulge. And now we're going to try and start him on fire because I'm assuming he has burned his repair, since I'm no longer gaining damage even though we got that flood. So if we can start him on fire, that would be good. We're just clicking away, sitting in our smoke, plinking, praying for a fire. And this is really the story of Hatsuharu. There's absolutely nothing about this ship that just wows me. It's not like old Fubuki, it's not like Akatsuki or Ducky, Akazuki that's after Shiratsu or Shiratsu herself. I mean, there's really just nothing about this ship that just goes, wow, this is a fun ship to play. No, it's like, no, this ship is terrible. And it is quite frustrating to play at times. So I Godspeed to those who are grinding through this. If you have free XP and doubloons, I highly recommend you use them, because this ship is just bad. There's like nothing about this ship that is good. Our smoke is disappearing. We got a fire! Woo! So we've got a fire on him, and we are going to rack up some damage here. He is unfortunately turning so that I cannot get any more torpedo hits on him. We're going to go ahead and chase down this Pensacola because I have a feeling this North Carolina is going to die here pretty soon. So we'll split the difference between the two. And as you're doing this, you definitely want to make sure that you are maneuvering, because that Pensacola could decide that you're his target. 14. Hey, we got the kill for it. Sweet. We're up to 2 kills. Yeah. So Hatsuharu, just hang in there. either free XP it if you can, or do your best to get through it. It might even be worth keeping the stock hull and dealing with the 6K torpedoes that are on it, the stock torpedoes. I think that might actually be a better option. You get a little bit better gunplay with a little bit less AA, but you lose your torpedoes, really. I don't know, it's hard to really say. I've not played around with the stock hull on it. I just don't see that as being a huge advantage because of the way that the stock hulls are usually configured, but who knows, it might be. If you guys remember old Fubuki, her second hull upgrade, her first hull upgrade, the second hull was actually better than her final form because of the, you didn't lose that number 2 turret, you actually retained it. And so, yeah, I think that might be something worth interested in playing, but, frankly, I'm so disgusted with the ship, I'm really not interested in playing it anymore. So yeah, definitely go ahead and free XP it if you got it. Otherwise, grind straight through it. Try and get yourself to Shiratsu, because Shiratsu is 180 degrees from this ship. Even without advanced firing training, she's a significantly better ship. So we are finally within gun range of the Pepsi-Cola. We are going to go ahead and shoot at him. This match is basically over. We are capping them, and that is going to really be the end of this battle. And we're not even going to get really... Oh, we got 600 more hit. Yes! We got that 600 damage at the end. That just pushed us over. Okay, 78,838 damage in total, 2 sinks, 1353 for base XP, which is pretty good, actually. There you can see our damage screen and, of course, the credit screen. Anyway, like I've already said a dozen times, I really don't like this ship. It's not staying in my port, and if you have the opportunity to free XP past it, do it. Save yourself the headache. Anyway, I'm your Peacekeeper. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you guys have any other tips on how to play Hatsuharu that might help me out, let me know down in the comments.